you have this urge to like escape the world, right? Go into the mountains, uh, like figure yourself out, right? You're not gonna do anything but sit down and like meditate and journal and figure out all life, and you're gonna come back all this like majestic person, right? I think we probably get this from media, right? I mean, this is you can imagine how this can be easily romanticized. You have some kind of main character, they run off into the mountains, they come back and they're all attacked and they're wise and they know exactly what to do with life and how to interact with others. But the reality is, and I mean, I'm a bit guilty of this. I see this with a lot of people. You have these thoughts. I've had these thoughts over and over again. It just doesn't exist, right? You can't run off into the mountains, come back and change as a different person. We would all love to do that. It's such a fascinating story. There's just kind of element of mystery. There's this you would sense of respect for anyone who might go through this, but unfortunately, it's not reality. I think what it is a coping mechanism. It sounds great. We've seen it through media, and we all want to do it, right? It's a great coping mechanism. Makes us feel good. We think about it. We might even do it, but it doesn't solve our problems. And the reason is because life is a social game. Let's think about it in terms of like a video game, right? Let's draw some analogy. So and I actually I don't really play video games, so maybe these analogies aren't perfect, but I think I can generalize some examples where we draw that analogy. I'm thinking about boundaries. So games have all these boundaries, right? You have this world, you can't go beyond this limit. That's the world that you're playing in. You have to interact with other characters in a particular way. You have particular set of tools that you use, right? Particular currency. So there's all these different restrictions and rules, the boundaries of the game, and you have to win the game or succeed or progress in it within these boundaries. We have the same thing in real life, right? In the sense of social conventions, social cues, social conventions. Like for example, you can't just go out in public like this and start screaming. That breaks social convention. People will look at you, and we have a tool for things that break social convention. It's shame. Someone breaks social convention, we shame them into conforming with the majority. And for most cases, this is good. You can imagine something like wearing like a full tank tracksuit. That's a social convention. People are going to look at you. Maybe someone will compliment, but it breaks social convention. We have these set of rules, and it's not like we're taught this in school, right? You're not in like eighth grade social convention class, right? And they go through a list of things that you should follow or not follow, depending on maybe the geographic or cultural context that you're in. These are things we naturally adopt growing up. We see them in our communities, our parents. We make mistakes, right? Someone might be like sad over their pet passing away, and you accidentally laugh, and now you feel embarrassed. And that embarrassment is a tool to to teach us to recognize that we've broken the social norm and that we need to readjust. And so we just kind of experience life, and that's how we understand social norms. So life has these conventions, these boundaries, right? Another good example is like roles. And in video games, you play a particular role, right? You choose your character, they have the skill set or they have Y skill set with a bunch of trade-offs. And based on that role, you navigate the game and you try to win. And you use your advantages that you have, you be cognizant of your resources and disadvantages. Same thing in life, right? A lot of the roles we get are not something we actively choose. We're a child as soon as we were born. We have that role and we have its own expectations and rules. For the first whatever years, you have to conform to the boundaries set by your parents if you play in the role of a child. Where most of us play in the role of a student, or you have to conform to those rules. We have to go to school and that these boundaries and our success metric is the grades and marks that we get. Maybe we're a parent, maybe we're a doctor, and we have this role where we have greater ethical responsibility and maturity over people and society, right? But maybe we have less time on our hands, or maybe that maturity and wisdom or responsibility is burdensome. We have all these rules and like we do in a video game, but in real life. And because it's a social game, those rules indicate how we traverse life. Like Another example. I had another example. What was I thinking of? Jeez. Oh, right. Yeah. I guess on a fundamental level, video games, if it's a multiplayer video game, there's also like both competition and collaboration, right? There's finite resources. Not everyone can be a billionaire, for example. But I guess I'm drawing the analogy too fast. But let's continue on the video game part. You can't all win the game or a game, right? If it's multiplayer, there's competition, right? There's finite resources. There's fundamentally competition over those resources if they're desirable. There's also collaboration, right? You're gonna have a team. You're gonna work with that team. Once again, everyone has these roles or skill sets, and you work together to work towards a particular goal or objective or mission. Life the same way, right? You're not on your own navigating life. This is not the planet of Earth does not have population of one you. Maybe you're him, and it is population you, but eh, it's a social game, but resources are finite, right? You're going to compete over them, and resources don't necessarily mean things like food and water. It could also mean like the number of seats in this medical college that you're trying to get into, right? That's finite. You're going to compete with other people. And you're going to collaborate with other people. What's a good example? Friends. Friends are collaboration. You navigate this game of life together with friends. That's collaboration, right? Your romantic partner, if you have one. That's collaboration with your families, right? Maybe your coworkers. You're all collaborating to fit the objective that the company or organization you're working at has. So, like a video game, there's collaboration and competition fundamentally. So the point I'm trying to make is life is not a single player game. It's a social game. Life is a social game. You need to learn how to navigate it. And here's kind of the problem that I see. I'm going through a little bit. I notice this a ton in the world. I interact with large quantities of people. Last 3 months, I've had conversations with just under 300 new people. So I get somewhat of a sense of different people, and I get to create these kind of stereotypes or biases and ways of understanding people. And here's a big problem that I see. From when we're young, we create these labels: introvert and extrovert. Maybe you're in like 5th grade and you make a joke, and society labels you as an extrovert. Or maybe you don't talk, you sit at the back of the class or whatever, and you do just quiet. Maybe you prefer to be only speaking to like your 1 or 2 friends that you've had. Society labels you as an introvert, and you grow up within those labels, and you stop progressing. The fundamental issue here is not the actual labels of introvert extrovert. It's that this is inherently a fixed mindset. You're given this role or label, and you think that is how you live life, and you maintain that role over your life. And that's fundamentally flawed. That's so limiting, right? Think about it. When you're born, are you a lawyer? You don't know what the hell law is. You're trying to like get milk and see the sunlight or your mom or something, right? You don't know what law is, but you recognize that as something over time that you want to work towards. It's a goal. It's an objective. Oh my gosh, I'm sweating. So hot. And you build those skills. You go to education. You meet people. I don't know. I have no idea what law looks like, but bunch of education, I think, right? You pass the bar. You're not born with a romantic relationship. Then understanding of how romantic relationships, that's a skill that you put on. You grow up, you learn with people. Maybe you like date one of your classmates or something, or a family friend, and it leads to a breakup, but you learn from the breakup and all fights and the love and passion. These are skills that you develop. Life is the same way, right? In the context of socialize. The introvert extrovert, it's a labeling that forces you to behave in a certain way. Oh, I am an introvert, and that I've attached that to my identity. Therefore, in social context, I need to limit them. I need to limit myself. I need to recharge my battery, right? And I'm not here to say this concept of introvert extrovert doesn't exist. That's fine. Look, everyone has different life experiences. They've grown up in different ways. They have different traumas and ambitions. behavioral patterns and cognitive contexts. Everyone's different. That's completely fine. You might get exhausted from on the social environment. Other people's might thrive in. That's completely fine. I'm not criticizing that. What I'm criticizing is all the other elements that we associated with this identity of introvert extrovert that have been forced upon us at a young age. And then we maintain that fixed mindset over time. That's problematic. If you want to do anything in life, you need a growth mindset. Here's what I mean. Things like social competence, charisma, humor, empathy, like bonding, seduction. These are all skills. Just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you can't have these. I've met introverts that excel at these skills. The point is, these are skills. They're not given to you. You're born, and this is what I was trying to get at with the career and romantic relationship example. You're born with a particular set of skills. Maybe someone's more funny when they're a kid. Maybe someone's better at flirting, right? Everyone's born with these skills, strengths and weaknesses. Why are you letting yourself maintain those same level of skills throughout your entire life? You're never going to be better. Do you not want to be better at humor? Do you not want to be charismatic? These are skills that you can adopt. Everyone has different ones that they're good at and not at. Don't label yourself as an introvert or extrovert and maintain whatever skill set that you have. Treat these as skills and improve them, just like your career. You go to 16 years of school or 20 years of school and education for your career. You do countless interviews and exams and you pass all these like elements to build up the skill that you have, which is your career. You go through all these relationships to build your skill of being a romantic partner and succeeding in a romantic relationship. We should be doing the exact same thing with social skills. We might not be charismatic, but no, that's okay. But treat it as a skill and build it, right? These are all skills. If life's a social game, do you not want to win that social game? Do you not want to thrive in that social game? And you thrive by upping your skills, similar to a video. That raises a question. How do you actually do that? By socialize. Yeah. I'll, I'll share an anecdote. I did a long internship, 12 months. It was 16 months. I negotiated down to 12 just now. So I've been out of college for 16 months now. I guess I'm doing some online course or just there studying. From May 2023 to April 2024, I was on internship. And then I moved to Asset Live here for almost 4 months now. And so I've been out of college for 16 months. And I'm still a student. I'm going back tomorrow. And the issue is the college is kind of a cheat code for social interaction. So it's all people. There's no kind of expectations. There's not really competition. Maybe for academics, everyone's just like open and hanging out and wanting to make friends, right? What I realized as soon as I left and started interning is that whole kind of system went away. I felt so lonely. I didn't have this kind of like support system and all these people that are open to hanging out, right? You go to work and you see all these like older people and, they'll be kind to you. They'll say hi. They'll have your little talk while grabbing coffee. As soon as the 5 p.m. hits, they leave and they won't talk to you again. I tried so many people. I'm like, oh, this person's interesting. Let's say, yeah, here. And then I'll be like, no, we're not interested. Or they'll say, oh, I'm busy. I have this and that. Oh, I have this bug. Oh, just people do their like little 9 to 5s, go all with their family, 4 friends. And it was difficult. I went from this thriving social environment to now like no one wants to talk to, or like no one wants to connect. So I'll go to work. Basically no interaction. Tech companies too, right? They're remote, no one's there. Go home, like work out, cook some food or something. Maybe see a friend. If I'm lucky, maybe once or twice a week. And I kind of realized I was always, for the last like maybe decade, I've been kind of this extrovert stereotype. And within 3 months, about 4 months, I think, of this internship last summer, I realized like I just lost my social skills. I would go meet strangers and I'd like struggle with social competence. I wouldn't know exactly what to say. Suddenly I'm awkward. Suddenly I'm like overthinking the way I'm talking. I'm not funny anymore. And I'm like, I've had this, I've been like this for 8 years or 10 years. And suddenly it's gone. What? And that really reinforces mindset of it's a skill. If you don't use a skill, you forget it. I know a bunch of languages growing up. I'm forgetting them now because I don't use it. That's kind of intentional. But if it's a skill, you also lose the skill if you don't practice. And so end of August, I think start of September, I shifted cities. I went to Toronto, and I was there for 8 months. And I made, because it's a bigger city, there's always stuff going on. And I kind of discovered I also leveraged the privilege of being in tech, since tech has a lot of events, like networking events or like more technical ones. And I use that as an opportunity to talk to you. I started going to tech events every week. And then I would look for non-tech events that I had, either online meetup or whatever resource you want to use. Or once you know people, they'll invite you, which is basically friends hanging out, but you're invited. And I started going to these. And at one point in Toronto, because Toronto really didn't have that many events, at least public ones, I went to most of the big ones that's happening. I went to once or twice. And every event I went to, I knew people. I recognize people, or they'll recognize me. And what that did was I got just practice talking to strangers when you're at an event, especially if it's like, I'm in tech. If it's not a tech event, it's some random thing, I'll still show up, right? And I'll know nothing about that. I don't know where to start the conversation. I've been to events where I literally don't know what the event is. I just show up. I saw something, I sign up, I show up. And that forces you to talk with strangers. It forces you to learn about different people and their perspectives, experiences, and their goals and ambitions. And what I realized is within like a month and a half of being in Toronto and going to these events, I got this like social competence back. I, I'm back, right? I was able to get back to where I was. And I've been doing that ever since, especially in SM. I've been meeting so many people. And when you meet so many people, like when I started these events, it was more of like a networking thing. I'm like, okay, I need a job, I need an internship. Let me network my way in, right? Because all these people are like, applications don't work, and they don't. Network your way in. Okay, let me try network. Then after a few events, I'm like, bro, like this is so fake. I don't want to talk to these people because I want to get something. Like that's fake. I'll talk to the people that I find interesting. I won't talk to the people that I don't. And if I'm friends with people, yeah, maybe I can ask them for a fake, and they'll ask me for a favor. Wonderful. But I don't want to build these relationships just to get something out of them. That's so fake. And so I kind of shifted the perspective where maybe a couple of months in, I stopped treating them as networking events. And instead, I just went to socialize. I didn't have that many friends, right? And so day to day, I didn't get much social activity. Remote company as well, right? They interact with people. And an engineer, so like no social interaction. And so I treat these events as like social practice, or not, yes, practice, but just socializing to meet people, hang out. And so suddenly all the expectations went away, and I just went to these events and I hung out with people. If I found someone interesting, I keep chatting with them. And before it was kind of a numbers game. How many people can I talk to? Then it became like, I'll talk to this person, and okay, they're not too interesting, or this person, okay, they're when we don't really too well, or it was too far apart in life. And this person, this person's interesting. And then for the next hour and a half, I'll speak only with that person. We'll kind of build up that relationship. Maybe we'll hang out again. Maybe we won't. And that really changed things, because now on a regular basis, I was interacting with not people, not this like comfortable friend group that I had or family, strangers. And I went from maybe slightly scared of talking to strangers or nervous. I think this is so common, right? Most people, you tell them to go up to a stranger and start a conversation, their timbers are shivered, right? They're trembling. And that's okay, right? We all start at different points. But just a few months, I went to a point where like I'll go up to strangers, say hi to them. Like I'll compliment people. Networking events or any social event are perfect because there's an expectation that you'll talk to strangers. And now there's like zero doubts or zero like friction talking to a stranger. I'll just go up and have a conversation. There's always like random things that I'll like to talk about, right? I remember this one guy, he complimented me, so I remember this. It was at an event, and I'm like, okay, this person looks interesting. Let me go talk to them. And you just need one thing to talk about, right? It was a tech event, but I'm like, I don't want to talk about tech, this sport. And this guy was jacked, and then I went up to him, like, oh my gosh, you're so built. tell me your Djibouti. This guy started giggling because tech event, right? You're only talking about like the technical, whatever PHP or whatever. And we ended up chatting, and and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so great at just talking to strangers." I'm like, "You just need that one thing, right? You find one that's a better thing to talk about, start a conversation, and then as long as both people are socially competent, you just bounce ideas off, and here enjoying the conversation, right? You bounce ideas off, and you keep talking. And so now that's kind of became second hat. Uh, and so from all of these skill sets, I've gone to a point where like social competence, I'm really good at. Charisma, I'm fantastic at. I'm great at humor, but there's still places of improvement. Seduction, like what the hell is seduction? I can flirt, but I have no idea what seduction is. So I'll be honest, I have zero practice for that. I'm not great at opening up, or sorry, I'm better at being vulnerable and opening up. That's something I've been practicing. There's still a way to go, but that's something I'm pretty good at now. But I'm bad at uh asking for help. I'm not too great at that. I think I've kind of been raised that way without a social support system, or maybe not the best responses when you do ask for help. And so that's something I'm working on now. And I think I'm improving over time. Still a long way to go. So coming back to this kind of skill perspective where we all have these different skills that we're born into, and you kind of build them up over time. And the whole point is if life's a social game, you want to progress and succeed in life, you have to learn how to interact with people, navigate relationships, all sorts of relationships, really navigate this world with other human beings. If you're lacking in these skills, which is very normal, treat it like a skill, like your career or a hobby or like YouTube video, whatever you enjoy. Treat it like a skill and spend time improving. And that'll be one of the ways where you'll improve that life. You'll win or succeed at this game of life.